So we have won the die roll. Cool. It's always a good start. And a hand that we are going to keep. It doesn't have one of our combo pieces, but it's got pretty much everything else we could ask for. And I think we want to lead off. Well, I'm going to lead off with the Steam Vents. I like just getting it into play. We don't actually know what we're opting for yet, not knowing the matchup. Now we know we're playing against Affinity. Okay, so we can proceed accordingly. And I'm going to get the fetch land into play now and just pass the turn. Holding up Remand. To counter potentially a goodie our opponent might have. And I think we want to remand this. We could bolt it, but this just seems better. And the reason why I say that is, yes, being able to bolt a Ravager is nice, but now our opponent cannot also cast a 1-mana spell, which maybe they had, maybe they didn't. But it also lets us use the remand, which normally remand isn't that great in this particular matchup. So I'm going to start with this opt. Okay, we're going to keep the Emrakul. And then go for the Serum Visions. So we're set up to be able to win this game. Be extremely surprised if we did not. Now, our opponent might be able to get 6 permanents into play so that when we do Through the Breach Emrakul, we do not have the win locked up. That is a possibility, but not too worried. So we could go for a Lightning Bolt on the Ravager, but no, I'm not going to do that. So we're going to set ourselves up so that our opponent's entire board should be gone next turn. I'm going to run out the Snapcaster Mage here. It's just kind of a decoy spell almost. We're going to target our opt. Maybe our opponent kills the Snapcaster. Maybe they sacrifice some artifacts into the Arcbound Ravager. Either way, it's kind of a win-win situation. We're not going to die this turn. So yeah, our opponent's probably thinking now about whether or not to play a Galvanic Blast. But we are being allowed to block. Okay, sounds good. We want to be incentivizing our opponent to sacrifice as many artifacts as possible. That way, when we do get the Emrakul into play, that Annihilator 6 is going to mean our opponent is left with no permanents. They just won't, because they're sacrificing some to the Ravager, they're just not going to have any more additional left over. There's an Etched Champion. I'm going to respond by going for bolts on the Ravager. So either our opponent sacrifices more artifacts to keep it in play, or they decide to make one of these signal pests larger. I think either way we're happy with it. So it looks like our opponent is going to make the Ravager larger. They're going to sacrifice a number of creatures and some land. So they're gonna have to sacrifice a Signal Pest, a Drum, and a Citadel. And this is what Affinity has to do, right? You're dumping most of your resources into cards like Arcbound Ravager and hoping that they pay off. So we're going to cast this Opt end of turn. Put that Bolt on top. And this just feels sweet, right? Our opponent's not really dead, but they are dead. Like, I don't see them coming back from this. Now, that doesn't mean they should concede necessarily when they see the Emrakul, but I would not blame them if they do. Okay, they are going to concede. Saving us some time, that's fine. And that's what this deck wants to be doing. We were able to find the combo pieces we needed with those card draw effects, and taking game one from Affinity feels really nice because we have plenty of additional cards to bring in to enhance this matchup. So Shatterstorm is, of course, the nail in the coffin for Affinity. That's the card they absolutely do not want to see. Anger of the Gods is solid. Entrancing Melody is actually, I think we want it. And Ceremonious Rejection as an additional counterspell. Vendilion Click is an option. I don't think we want Blood Moon. Remand, while good last game, is not traditionally good here, especially while we're on the draw. I'm going to take out the pull from tomorrow, just being it's a little bit slow. And I think we want to shave down on either a Cryptic or Vendilion Click here. And sure, I'm just going to play one Vendilion Click. Okay, interesting hand. Lands and spells, though, so we are going to keep it. So the reason why I think Entrancing Melody is fine in this matchup is, as we're seeing, there are 0 mana plays here. So it's not amazing to be taking a Mem Knight, but depending on the situation, it could be pretty solid. Okay, second copy of Through the Breach. Not what we were looking for. So this is kind of the moment of truth, right? Our opponent did take a mulligan. What do they have to kind of put on additional pressure here, if anything? So it's an Etch Champion. That's pretty darn good. It's not a cranial plating, which would have been worse for us, but we don't actually have a good way of dealing with the Etch Champion. So now we're seeing Anger of the Gods, which does not answer the Etch Champion. So I'm actually going to put it on the bottom. We have an answer to the Mem Knight if we want to use it in the Entrancing Melody. I think I am going to use the Melody here. It's going to save us some damage in the long run. And we can also use the Mem Knight as a blocker. So I like this play. Now we're only taking, say if we only take 3 this turn. Now that we have the combo, well, okay, take it back. We don't have the combo anymore. So this Thoughtseize is going to almost certainly grab the Emrakul. So that's going to go back into our deck. Our opponent's going to whack us for 3 here, most likely. No. Instead, it's a Steel Overseer, which is worse for us. Alright, well, we could send this Mem Knight in for 1. Doesn't seem like... Nah, I'm just going to pass. I don't think we need to do that. I don't think that 1 damage is going to make or break this game. So we have the Vendilion Click that we can flash in here. If our opponent activates the Nexus, I definitely think we want to block with it. And I'm inclined to target ourselves with the trigger. No, it looks like it's just going to be the Etch Champion coming in. So we're going to take that. There's definitely value to having this Vendilion Click in play. We know that our opponent already has at least 1 flying attacker, potentially. And we also know that we don't want this Through the Breach. And we found Emrakul. So lucky, so good. We found it. So this is the exact spot we want to find ourselves in. I'm going to opt. Do we want a second opt? Sure, I'm going to put it on top. But I'm just going to pass the turn here to our opponent. Now, notably, we don't just have automatic lethal upon getting the Emrakul on the battlefield. Unless our opponent chooses to attack with the Blinkmoth Nexus, but it looks like smartly they are going to hold back here. I see no reason to block, so I'm just going to take it. So what our opponent can do is they can activate this Nexus to block either the Emrakul or the Vendilion Click. I'm going to go for an opt end of turn. Okay, so now we definitely want this Anger of the Gods. The Anger of the Gods, yeah, we definitely want it. And Bolt was also a good draw. So I'm going to go for the Emrakul here. Our opponent's only got 8 permanents, so I feel very good about this situation. Because if our opponent takes the Emrakul hit, then they're dead to the Lightning Bolts next turn. So let's see. So our opponent can activate this Nexus, make it into a 3/3, potentially pump itself to make it into a 4/4. Although I'm not sure that will all work because the Mox Opal and the Springleaf Drum. Yeah, so I think our opponent just knows that they're probably dead here. Although if they do chump, they can chump the Emrakul, right? So they can chump the Emrakul and still have this Etch Champion sitting on the battlefield. The question then becomes, is that actually bad for us? Alright, well, I'm going to send these two in. So I'm expecting them to sacrifice the Opal and the Citadels and probably just leave Etch Champion in Blinkmoth here. And I don't believe they can win. So best bet is to block this Emrakul. I could see them winning if they block the Emrakul. Of course they don't know that we have the Bolt. But now that they've blocked like this, we do just have the win. If they block the Emrakul, it's actually kind of annoying to have to deal with the Etch Champion. We probably have to use 2 cards to kill it. Maybe they could draw running spells to Galvanic Blast us. But as is, we just have it.